What makes Locarno a different festival from the others is that we genuinely try to look for new filmmakers, new voices, and we care about the legacy of cinema, and we manage to be a festival that looks in different directions at the same time. Not only that, we care about the legacy of filmmaking with our retrospectives, very unique retrospectives. We look in the future of cinema with our competitions, and we think we believe in the great value of educating new generations to the value of filmmaking and to the audiovisual image. So all these elements put together in the context of a city that celebrates cinema within the city itself, that makes it a real popular event, popular in the sense that it's very well loved, but also that it's very close to the people of the city where the festival takes place. I think all these elements make the festival a very unique one. This is a very good question. A festival can only exist if there is an audience that is interested in the festival. That is the first thing. Then there are many ways of attracting the audience. What we are trying to do is to be very respectful to the intelligence of our audience. That means that we want them to enjoy our guests, but we want also our audience to enjoy the films that we are discovering year after year. So every day in the festival is created like a journey that begins in the morning. Let's say you have missed the film the night before, you can see it in the morning again, then you start watching the competitions, then you go maybe through a film of the retrospective, and then at night you come on the piazza and you discover the guest of the night, which is usually a very popular name in cinema, someone that has done something very important, be it Milena Canonero, the costume designer for Francis Coppola or Stanley Kubrick, or someone like Jackie Chan or Emma Thompson. And this allows the audience to feel that we are celebrating cinema. And while we're celebrating cinema, we are also celebrating the audience that celebrates cinema. This is the way that we have in attracting cinema. Not only cinema, but also the audience itself. Thank you for your question. This is a very precise and important question. After 2019, with the pandemic, the audiovisual landscape and the cinema industry has dramatically changed, and all the balances that were in place have shifted dramatically. A lot of smaller companies have vanished, have stopped their business. And nowadays, a lot of exhibition houses, art house cinemas have closed. So the festival circuit has become a kind of art house exhibition place where you promote, show your film, and the investment of having a film, you can feel immediately if it's coming back or not, or if it will come back in a very slow way. So nowadays, to have a film in a festival means that you have already a certain value of not only market value, but it is being acknowledged, recognized that you exist. We happen as festival between Cannes and Venice, as you were saying correctly, and obviously we don't have a film market like Cannes. But we are also not Venice, the oldest film festival in the world. So what it is that we are trying to do? We try literally to highlight the films that we have at the best of our abilities. That means that if a film comes to Locarno, it can gain a great degree of attention by being in Locarno. means that after Locarno, I usually say that after Locarno begins the real festival, because our films usually visit a lot of other festivals after the festival itself. So what happens is that while we are organizing now, trying to organize the next edition of the festival, what happens is that our films from the previous 2 years are still being invited. And Locarno today means a seal of artistic quality and approval. So this is what we, and obviously we are thinking also of other strategies to make our festival better and stronger, as we are also thinking now of seeing if there is a possibility of anticipate the dates of the festival. We believe strongly in the power of creative and poetic voices. We respect strongly and deeply the industry of cinema. However, what makes the industry of cinema great, powerful, is the audacity, the strength, the uniqueness, the individuality of the artistic voice. So we really think that filmmaking is an essential art form in the world today, but it's the voices that make it important. So for instance, filmmakers like the Tunisian author Alaeddin Slim, he's a very important filmmaker. He's a very unique filmmaker. And I think that through filmmakers like him or other filmmakers, that cinema stays alive. Thank you for your question. I would say that, and please don't misunderstand me, it is not that we have a lot of Arab films in Locarno. We have a lot of great films in Locarno. So we are not looking specifically for an Arab film or a film from another country. It's about the quality. What is happening in what we still call the Arab world, and I know this is a very colonial definition, but what is happening here, that there's a lot of creativity. And what by that I mean that here filmmakers are engaging head-on with the challenges of history, what it means to live and work and be creative in these territories, in these countries, with all the political upheavals, with all the political challenges, with all the international pressures, with all the complexities these societies are still facing. And I think that what the Arab filmmaking world is doing is extremely interesting. It's extremely fascinating in a way that when I look at the filmmakers from, let's call it the region, okay, so that just as a manner of speaking, I always think of Italian neorealism. Why? Because when Italian neorealism came along, the films were a way of having an open door dialogue with what was happening in Italy. And people understood that there was more to Italy than what they thought it was. So when we think Arab cinema, we have these preconceptions, you know, and the people think, oh, that's that. If they know something, they think, oh, it's about the songs in Egyptian films. If they know a little bit, they think, oh, it's about the misery and this and that. It's not like that. I mean, there's a lot of great, extremely interesting, creative energies going on. And I think that that is something that's quite unique. And when I compare what's coming, the films that are coming from the region, I always find something interesting that makes me understand how these films engage with what is going on. I would say that the only part of the world where this is happening in the same way is Eastern Europe, the countries from the former Soviet Union, where they face a different set of challenges, problems, whatnot. But so this is why, and personally, I'm extremely interested in the creative processes of the region. One of my great regrets is that I don't speak Arabic. I really regret it. But yeah, thank you for your questions. No, me and my team, we are the sole responsibles of what is being chosen in the festival. So there are no political guidelines. Obviously, we are all aware of what is going on in Palestine. We are all aware of the stakes that are going on in the Gaza Strip. So we know that. While we were trying to build up the new selection for this year's edition, we were shocked, saddened, appalled, traumatized almost by the scale of the devastation that was going on, with what I can tell was also the complicity of the Western countries, and nobody was saying anything. So we were witnessing a magnitude of destruction that was unseen. And we felt like we need to leave the people that will come in the future and that will look at us in the future. We need to give them a sign that we were living in this moment, that our eyes were open. We can't do anything, but we need to, you need to be present in the historical moment that you are living. And so we did not want to look the other way because it was convenient to do so. And I have to say that the audience in Locarno has been the most warm and open audience you can possibly think of. They expressed their frustration, their anger, their sadness at what was going on in the most respectful way towards our festival. And we had the most intense conversation, but intense emotionally, not intense as an opposition. And that was very interesting because we could feel that the festival was truly supported by its audience. And it's been very difficult to work in these circumstances because now we have a very fragile ceasefire, but in August, ceasefire was not even a possibility. So we thought that as people working in the West, there is also a way of abusing the position that you have as someone that works in Europe, that works in the West. And we thought that there must be something that allows the people that come to us because they want to discover film, because they want to see what films, that we are aware of what is going on. So that's, but that being said, the films that we had in Locarno were not there because of political reasons, meaning that everything is political, okay? Just to put it out there. But every film that we had, I stand behind it 150%. There was no thinking like we have to do this because of this. No. The films speak for themselves. Okay, so when we decided to award a boot production from Lebanon, it's because I know the people from Abut and what they have done, what they have single-handedly done to put Lebanon again on the maps of international filmmaking, the way they have promoted young filmmakers. So for me that was important, because what we were trying to say with that award is, you can build a country, a film after a film, and you can destroy a country, a bomb after a bomb. So obviously we stay with the filmmakers, we stay with the creators, we stay with the directors, we are with the poets, we are with the women and the men that make the films, that create the poems. This is what we were trying to do. Again, this is a very important question. We did not try to make a balance, because the world is not balanced. However, we had a film from Israel, a film by the wonderful filmmaker Eran Kolirin, which is called Notes on the Current Situation, a no-budget film that shows the alienation, the violence, the paranoia inside the Israeli society. And we did not choose Eran Kolirin's film because we had to have a balance so that people don't get upset. No, we chose a film because Eran Kolirin is an important filmmaker, and Eran Kolirin is not his country. Eran Kolirin is not the choices that his country has been making politically. And the film is completely independent. And we all know that the Israel Film Fund has always been at odds with the official politics, always support. So, but again, it is not about balancing. You don't balance because you are not in a position to balance anything. It's not up to you. It's either a film is good or it is not good. I can be held responsible for a film. If you say that film is not good, I can say, let's discuss or let's agree to disagree. But I'm not trying to balance or making anything good. I mean, there is a film that shows what is happening in Lebanon. There is a film that shows how all these things are being lived in Israel. But that's not to put them in relation. I mean, if you want to do that, that's your critical freedom. That's your analysis. You are totally entitled to do so. But if I'm choosing the film, I'm just choosing the film because I know this film comes from a place that I understand. A place, I mean, a mental landscape, poetical landscape, creative landscape that I understand, and it's something that I want to share. And I find this extremely interesting, but it's not to make people happy. So we have one film from Palestine, then we have another film from here. Nah, that's wrong. That's wrong on so many ways. I cannot even begin to discuss. For me, I may be very naive, but for me, filmmakers, poets, artists are the first and the last line of resistance. For me, the only thing that we have today is art, poetry, creative. When we speak, look, what happens is, let's be very frank here, poets save the honor of countries. Look what happened again in Italy. with neorealism, Roberto Rossellini. We sided with the Germans. I say we because I'm Italian. I cannot say they. Okay? So we sided with the Germans. Horrible, tragic, unforgivable mistake. Roberto Rossellini made a film called Rome Open City. And that film alone today stands as an act of resistance, as the film that saved Italy's honor, that showed that there are the will to begin again. So we rise from the ashes of shame, of collaborationism with the fascists, and Rossellini says it is possible to live again. So today we remember Rossellini because he did this. And we can look at what happened in the 20 years before that through the lens of Rossellini, not through the lens of the fascists, because they are gone and forgotten, even though they live in shame still today. So you understand what I'm trying to say. So for me, this is important. Today, all these voices, tomorrow, they will be the voices of reason. They will be the voices of love. They will be the voices of compassion. No, again, we don't. You have seen what happened this year in Venice. I work in Locarno in Switzerland, so even though we speak Italian in Locarno, but you saw what happened in Venice. There were manifestations pro-Palestine. During the official screening of The Voice of Hind Rajab by Hauser Benhania, there was this very emotional reaction. So there was no censorship. I cannot comment, obviously, on what happened in other festivals, but in Italy we did not have this. In Locarno we did not have this. And as I said, what we are trying to do, we are not a political platform. Obviously, I'm not naive to the point of ignoring that art can be political, but we are a platform for artistic voices. In specific moments of history, art can be perceived as extremely political, and the only art that means something is political art, and I'm being very serious here. If you read the Divine Comedy by Dante, it is a very political work. If you read the poetry by Arthur Rimbaud, it's a very political work. So what I'm trying to say is we are an artistic platform. So we are not a political platform. But obviously you cannot escape history and what is going on. What I think, I've been observing and following what is happening in Saudi Arabia quite closely. And I believe that the progress that the country has made in terms of trying to be an international player is quite audacious. Also with the festival, the Red Sea Film Festival, I've visited a couple of times. I wish I could have visited more, but sometimes it overlaps with that. Huh?
Last year?
No, not last year, 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that it is very interesting what is happening. And I think that, first of all, the role of Saudi Arabia in terms of being also a regional player, in terms of support with other Arab countries, that is very important. In terms of being an international key point is also very important. If the support to independent filmmaking keeps on going beyond also the ambitions of being a larger player on international scale towards Hollywood and so on, that could be very important. I've visited the projects at the Red Sea Souk, and all the films that have been there have been quite relevant because the work that has been done was was quite good, and the results of the films that have visited Cannes and so on. So I think that is I appreciate the way the country is challenging itself through the tools of cinema and trying to create a new relevance that goes beyond the obvious political elements. No, it's not what you need, because the films are good. I mean, let's be honest here. We receive so many films, okay? And the competition is made of 18 films, 17. The other section is made of 15 films. So it's not that the films were lacking something, because also, and we receive almost more than 6,000 films every year, and we need a lot of people to watch them, a lot of time to discuss. So it's not about what those films are lacking. It's really not that. It's really not that. It's simply that we try to have as much as possible a program that is as diverse as possible. So it's really, even this year I saw quite a few films from Saudi Arabia that I thought were quite good. But then I saw also quite a few films from Tunisia that were quite good and didn't make the cut, or from Algeria that were quite good. I mean, my dream one day is to have a film that has only films from the Arab countries, because I think that would be very, very... This is something that happens everywhere. The same happens, for instance, in Italy. The same happens, for instance, in Switzerland. So the same happened, for instance, in Lithuania. So what happens is that countries, especially the critics or the officials of the countries, and now I'm getting myself in trouble here, they really don't like the way they think they are being portrayed in films. So what happens is we have films that go, Italian films that go to Cannes, they come back, and people say, these films are made just for festivals. The real audience don't care about it. So my question is, what is the real audience? What is the real audience? So it's always been like that. When Rossellini made his films, nobody wanted to see them in Italy, because, okay, they are just, playing with the misery, they are just doing that, It's always been like that. The Lithuanian film Toxic, that won in Locarno last year, it went everywhere. It's been released in Portugal just now. The film critics in Lithuania trashed it, like, this is misery just made for European audiences. And I was like, no, this is a film by a young filmmaker that put everything she had in this film, so why would you say that? So it's always like that. It's always like that. That's the thing is, if there would be more films in the cinemas and so on, and then films are a bit more than just something you watch while you're eating popcorn. This is the real thing. And films are not just about people flying around, shooting rays from their eyes or whatnot. Film is a bit more complex, and Okay, let's begin with the question about the market. We don't have a market in Locarno, as you know. And we will not have a market. However, we are working on building, and we have begun last year, an investors community for projects and filmmakers and producers alike, which is different from the hubs and the labs, and it's different from the film market. So it's a very specific element that we are adding as we speak to the festival. And my colleague from the industry is working now for almost 3 years on this investors community projects, and I'm glad that I'm speaking to you because this can be something that is also very interesting for Saudi producers that want to come and be a more active part in the European film community, looking for projects that they can be a part of or support, or if they're looking for support for projects that they are developing in at home. So the investors community is an important part of what we are trying to do now in Locarno. And I believe that already from the next year we will start seeing the fruits and the results of this effort that we are trying to build with the investors community. And I'm more than glad to support all the information needed in order to understand a bit more closely and precisely what this is all about. In terms to your question, coming to your question about what I try to add to Locarno, it is easily said. Locarno has its identity since the beginning in 1946, and that will be its identity when it will go on after me. So that's not in question. What I wanted to add is simply another element. Audiences are changing all the time. There are new generations of people that like cinema, but maybe have other kind of filmmaking interest. So what I try to do is to get in touch with this kind of audience, like I am also one of you guys, you people, meaning that we had Jackie Chan as an award. We had Phil Tippett. Phil Tippett is the creator of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, just to say something. We had as an award John Landis. I opened the doors to more horror films and genre films in Locarno because I like very much genre films. So I just wanted to tell the younger audience, come to Locarno, watch our films and discover some of the films that we are proposing to you, because we are blessed with having a very strong and warm and faithful audience. But we are also looking to gain new audiences, younger audiences that can engage with us in what we do, because that's the way how we will go on as a festival. Well, two answers. One is personal, one is institutional. My personal, individual answer is a festival is a collective happening. It happens in a cinema. It happens with a real audience. It happens with the interactions with the creative crew, with the director. And it happens as the result of what the film provokes, creates, moves in the audience. After the festival, there can be interactions with the festival through the digital means. Online, you show some short films, as we do online. You have some programs that you can do online in order to have a constant conversation with your many audiences that are around the festival. But an online festival, to me, doesn't make much sense, because for me, a festival is coming here, speaking to you. A festival as an online happening, I can understand that if we are in a pandemic, there's no way of going around the pandemic, so you have to stay at home. So that can be an exception. But what is the difference between a festival and what I do every day when I'm on my phone. A festival is, I am going to Jeddah. I am meeting the people at the Red Sea Souk. I am going to see that film. I am going to the conversation. I make choices. I can say, I go, I don't go. I make a question, I ask a question, I don't ask a question. So it's about being an active citizen in the world of cinema. That's what the festival is about. We usually never did like this kind of things, like closer work with another festival. Not because we don't do that. I mean, we have a huge community that comes to Locarno in terms of, but we believe in. How can I say? We support filmmakers from everywhere, and we have programmers from all over the world and so on, but we never had this kind of strict, close interaction. No, we never did that.
Thank you very much.